In my video yesterday, I said we needed to see some follow through today to get confirmation that gold was in the advancing phase of its intermediate cycle. I've been pretty convinced for several weeks that it was, but we really needed to complete the final confirmation, and that is a higher high. So, as you can see, we did get a lot of confirmation today. Not only did we get follow through, but gold has sliced through the 200-day moving average, and it's a bit marginal right now, but that's all I really require. It has also made a higher high above this peak, so it's no longer making lower lows and lower highs, and now it's making higher highs and higher lows. That confirms that gold is in the advancing phase of its intermediate cycle. This intermediate cycle did not drop below the March low here. And in a report I did last week, I mentioned that that would be the one thing that would make me bearish is if gold were to come down and break this March low. Then at that point I would have to get on the bearish bandwagon and say that gold's 3-year cycle, or I'm sorry, 8-year cycle did top back in August, and we're going to be in the declining phase for a couple more years. But as you can see, that has not happened, was never really even close to happening. And now we have confirmation that this is, like I have been saying for several weeks now, that this is indeed an intermediate cycle low. And the same things happen at every single one of these. So um, this is how this works. At intermediate tops, I get a bunch of new subscribers, people that are just now becoming confident in the trend. Let me expand this chart just a little bit. All right, so especially after a move like this, I get a bunch of new people that sign up for the SMT newsletter. Well, they should be signing up down here, but nobody ever, nobody's ever bullish at these bottoms except for me. So it takes a multi-week or multi-month move before everybody starts to get bullish, and then they look back and they see that I've been bullish the whole way up, and they finally they convince themselves that, hey, maybe Gary knows what he's talking about, and so now they jump in up here, expecting, I guess, that the move is just going to continue indefinitely. But of course, up here the move is very, very mature, and the odds are not great that it's going to just continue to trend for this was what, 4 or 5 months. The odds aren't good that it's going to trend another 4 or 5 months. So this is really, this is kind of stupid. This is not the time that you want to be getting bullish and buying a subscription to the SMT because Gary has been right for 4 months. The time you need to buy is at the bottom when Gary's pleading with everybody to get in and everybody else is bearish and all they can see is more pain ahead. So what happens is I get a bunch of new subscribers up here, and then it doesn't pan out like they expect. They expect that it's just going to keep going forever. It doesn't. We get a top, we get an intermediate decline, and then those same people, then they sell their positions. They waited until very late in the intermediate cycle to buy, and then of course the intermediate decline begins. They go underwater in those positions, and they sell at the bottom. And same thing. This happened here. This happened here. It happened again here. Um, I guess human nature just never changes. This is how the vast majority of people are always going to operate. They're never going to listen to me at the bottoms. They're never going to buy when I'm bullish, and they will, this is when they will cancel their subscriptions, and then they miss the rally, and then after 2 or 3 months go by, then they become bullish. Again, I guess expecting that the rally will just continue indefinitely. And so they buy when their emotions give them the all clear, which is usually late in the intermediate cycle, and then the cycle tops, come back down and make um, an intermediate degree bottom, and this is where they get frustrated, and then they sell their positions at the bottom. All right, so I've shown this. I think I showed this chart in my last video. Maybe not, but you can see that the logical thing to do is you want to buy when markets are oversold. If you're in a bull market, and gold is clearly in a bull market, it made new highs here. That's the definition of a bull market. So as long as something is in a bull market, then you want to buy into oversold conditions. And if you're going to trade, then you need to sell at some point into overbought conditions. And if you get caught at the top, you don't need to panic. And we did. We got caught here. I was expecting one more leg up before this intermediate cycle topped, but the FOMC meeting last month was a trigger for the dollar to bounce and for the cartel to attack gold. But in reality, it really only lasted 1 week. So even though we got caught, most of it was over with, at least in gold anyway, in 1 week. And then, we already started the next advancing phase of the next intermediate cycle. So even if you get caught in an intermediate decline, it's a bull market, folks. What do bull markets do? They make higher highs. So you could, in reality, you could buy at the exact top, and as long as you didn't do something stupid like selling into oversold conditions, and you just hang on, well, the bull market's going to correct your timing mistake, and price is going to come back up, and it's going to make higher highs. So you could buy right here, as long as you don't do something dumb and just hang on to your position, and you're going to end up with a winning trade. The problem is that the vast majority of people do something dumb. They sell at these bottoms with price oversold, and they never wait or give their trade time to work and wait for the advancing phase of the next intermediate cycle to unfold and for the oscillators to cycle back up to overbought. And as you can see, here, sometimes overbought will embed in the overbought condition. So just simply, tagging overbought isn't necessarily a sell signal. But the most important thing is you have to think logically, not emotionally. The time to buy is when the weekly charts are oversold. The time to sell, not anywhere near as easy to spot a top as it is a bottom, but you certainly don't want to be selling into oversold conditions. So these are just stupid trades. To sell with the market oversold is just blatantly stupid. It's not what you want to do. If you maybe didn't time a perfect entry, got in a little bit early, it's still, you don't want to sell into oversold conditions. You want to sell into overbought conditions in the advancing phase of the next intermediate cycle. You don't want to sell into the declining phase of the intermediate cycle. So, we've got all the confirmations now that this was the end of the intermediate cycle, and we're now in the advancing phase. We're only 4 weeks in. They can last anywhere from 15 to 20 weeks before the intermediate cycle tops. So, 4 weeks is really early to sell. And let me show you what else people do. So not only do they sell, people sell at bottoms, but a lot of people, once the bottom is in, they sell trying to dodge these little pullbacks, and then they miss chunks of the rally. So it's almost impossible, really, to time these pullbacks. How are you going to tell whether the pullback's going to last 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, whether, or you may just, maybe, you sold right here trying to thinking, and I see this a lot, right as we come out of an intermediate cycle low, people are still, the mindset that the market's going down. So they any little pop they want to take profits on. And the problem is when the environment changes to the advancing phase of an intermediate cycle, um, you can very often just get left behind. So like here, for instance, here, I saw a lot of people take profits right here on this second day. I even saw people take profits on this first day. And then, the people that took profits this day, they got left behind the second day. If they took profits here, then the market was flat for a day. So if it's flat for a day, what do? Do you get back in? Do you hope that there's going to be another day down? If there is another day down, do you then hope that there's going to be 2 days down before you buy? And in the meantime, the market, the advancing phase of the intermediate cycle, takes control again, and you get, two more really nice up days. And then what do? You chase? And if you chase here, then you get, a couple of, actually intraday, you get 3 down days in a row. So do you get, what happens here usually is that people get scared that they sold way too early here, they missed part of the rally, they panic back into the market, and then you get a minor 1 or 2, 3 day correction after they bought, and then they sell for a loss because they think, well, one thing that goes through the brain is that that the cycle's rolling over and it's going to go down and make a lower low because they've gotten used to this. And so they sell for a loss, and then now they don't know what to do. They don't know whether to, if the market goes down the next day, do they buy? Do they sit on the sidelines wondering if the intermediate cycle is rolling over again, and we're going to come down and make a lower low, and then they sit on the sidelines too long, and then they miss another nice pop, and over and over is how this works. I've seen people literally, they'll sit on they'll fight with themselves trying to dodge little pullbacks and missing the rally, and then when they finally become comfortable and are willing to get in and hold their position, it's usually up here, somewhere around week 12 to week 18. The intermediate cycle is very mature, and then they buy at the top. And again, this is where the new subscribers start piling in. And then the intermediate top comes, and you come down and you get an intermediate correction that lasts, multiple weeks, and these people sell for a loss, and the new subscribers cancel because they were expecting that this was just going to continue for months on end, and then we repeat the process over and over. And so every single one of these, I see the same thing, and it's actually a very useful sentiment indicator. When I see a lot of subscribers joining the SMT, it means that the intermediate rally is mature and it probably doesn't have much further to go. And when I see a lot of these new subscribers canceling their subscription, it's almost always an indication that we're either at or very close to the intermediate bottom. And for the rest of us that can think logically, these are really great sentiment indicators that we need to be buying, while the rest of these people are panic selling into oversold conditions. Again, think logically. You want to buy into oversold, you want to sell into overbought. If you get caught at a top and you get dragged down into oversold, you do not sell into oversold. You wait for however long it takes for the intermediate cycle to bottom, and then you sell into the next rally. All right, so maybe a few people will learn, will be able to think logically. If you want to join the SMT, you want to do it down here. We are down here right now. You don't want to. This is not the spot to join after the rally's already lasted 2 or 3 months. You want to try and get in early in the rally, and it's literally we're on day. Actually, let me switch over. Right. So in minors, we're literally on day 4 of a new intermediate cycle, and they last at least 2 months, 2.5 months, and sometimes they can last up to 4 months. So this is where you want to buy your subscription, not up here. And then finally, one quick look at the leading gold mining stock. It's actually a royalty company, Franco-Nevada. We've got a breakout to new highs right here. I can say with a huge deal of confidence that this is not going to happen. It's not going to happen in a bear market, and it's not going to happen if gold is in the declining phase of its intermediate cycle. So you've got all the confirmations that you could possibly ask for. Gold is bottomed. Try and break the habit of waiting till most of the rally's already passed before you buy or before you join the SMT. Do the opposite this time. Don't be the typical dumb money trader that the cartel fleeces. This is your opportunity to get in early and ride what I expect should be a pretty decent 2 to 4 month rally.